So you've obtained the visa, you are working for the employer in the UK, and everything's going well. What are the next steps and what should you look out for? At the moment, as the law stands as of June 23rd, 2026, the cycle towards settlement is a 5-year cycle. The idea really is for you to stay with that employer. You can change employers, but then you can't work for an unregulated employer, right? You can't just decide one day you've got a better job offer and you want to leave employment and start with a different business. If you do want to move from one employer or to another, you need to do a switch, as we commonly sort of refer to it. But effectively, it's where you leave the sponsorship of one employer and another employer takes over your sponsorship. There are various time limits involved with these kind of things and restrictions that apply during the process. It's really important to get legal advice in order not to do something accidentally from moving to one employer to another during that period. That will have repercussions later on. If you remain in the UK in this category, so the skilled worker category, for a period of 5 years, if you apply for settlement, it's really important to take into account your travels, especially for positions that require a lot of business travel. There is an allowance of 180 days over a 12-month rolling period that one must adhere to. It's really important to understand the concept of a rolling period. It's not from January to December, for example. It is if you look at your calendar over any given 12 months during that 5 years residency, you mustn't have been absent for more than 180 days. To sort of exacerbate the problem, the records aren't being kept in the way they would have been kept years ago, where you had landing cards and these kind of things. If you use e-gates, for example, at the airport, sometimes all those records aren't necessarily accessible to you. And we encourage all our clients across the board to maintain a spreadsheet of all their travels and maintain evidence, the flight tickets that were booked. If you went to a conference, keep record of the invite to the conference and so forth. It saves a lot of time and hassle later on. It's also worth at some point during the journey to maybe just do a check-in with your advisor, maybe just see if the law has changed, if there's anything you need to look out for. I often for my clients do a sort of a midway health check, if you will, where we make sure that the salary they get paid still qualifies, that their travels are in check, and discuss the next, say, 2 years or 2.5 years, whatever, of their journey to make sure that there's nothing that we as the representatives or the client finds out a month before their leave runs out and they have to apply for settlement. Proper planning prevents any poor performance later on. It's really well worth it. Then, just to touch on it briefly, there's been a lot of talk about changes to these requirements and changes as far as the UK immigration law and policy is concerned. There hasn't been any final announcements yet. It would appear, however, that the route to settlement might be increased from 5 years to 10 years. However, if you earn above a certain salary threshold, it could be reduced to as low as 3 years. If you do certain charitable activities, for example, or if you can speak English at a certain level, then you get deductions from that 10-year route. Exactly how this will look and how this will be enforced remains a bit of an open question. We'll see how this all pans out, hopefully sooner rather than later. I know a lot of our clients are struggling with the uncertainty at this point in time, but rest assured, not only us, but other firms as well, we're staying on top of things and we will deal with these changes in the law as they occur.